Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video I'm going to be going over my new pattern collections. The first page is information for you. In the second page we have color count. This is pattern collection 1. We have the round doilies and the hexagon doilies. And then we have our band doilies. Also, you'll find size charts. I have included size for Delica seed beads, the small seed beads, and the larger seed beads. And then I have my size charts for the beads that I usually use, which is the crystal for jewelry, and then the plastic beads for the larger pieces. We have 4mm, 6mm, and 8mm. I primarily use the 4mm. Then we have our pattern pages. The small, 3 smallest, you'll see that the round, you add corners to make hexagons. All of the patterns have the round and the hexagon as one, and then you can choose which you would prefer. The larger ones, the hexagon is staying within the outline, and we have a total of 10 different sizes for the round and hexagon. And then at the end, one more page, we have the band doilies. Here I have created some things with the pattern I will be using in this video. For jewelry, for the seed beads, I used these colors. For the bracelet, as I wanted it to be more flexible, I used nylon thread. And for the pendant and earring, I used 4-pound fitching line. And for the earring, I started down here with the small beads and worked my way up to the larger beads and then added on my accessory. With the pendant, I did the opposite. I started with the larger beads, then went to the small beads and added my accessory. This is the size beads I use for most of my jewelry. This is the crystal beads. And these are the colors I used for this piece. You can see a little better. I'll put it on here. And I very much like the crystal beads for all my jewelry pieces. Here's a bracelet. I added an accessory at the beginning and then just did the small beads all the way across and then added another accessory. For this video we will be using the plastic beads, and this is what your piece will look like if you just make the piece, but I will be giving you information along the way so that you can do the jewelry if you would like. I've already done the hexagon videos, so please feel free to check those out. This is the original red that I used in the pattern. It is a lighter color. I found I preferred the darker red, so that I will be using that in this video. For the hexagon, I'm not very creative, so what I did is I did different colors. So here is the first one, done in different colors. And the second one, then the third one, and this one was my favorite, the fourth one. So you can definitely use different colors. Also, as you can see, I did do the hexagon with the seed beads, so all the patterns work well with other types of beads, as well as the faceted bead that I like. And here I wanted to show you the large one that I'm working on. With this one, let me see, I am using these colors. I find that I like the matted with the transparent beads, so I chose to use matted. And this is the piece, not quite done, but coming along beautifully. And with it, I used the 4-pound, and I've also used 6-pound fishing line. Now for this video, we will be using the colors that I recommend in the pattern for the plastic, which is the 18 Ruby, 23 Sun Gold, and 04 Dark Avocado. And then the 10-12 pound fishing line. Now when you go to print your pattern, you want to make sure that you have the print property set to landscape, because a lot of programs will now open the PDF files, but they insist on printing them in portrait. And as you can see here, the size difference between the portrait and the landscape. So you want to make sure that your print properties are set to landscape. And here I have the pattern print in black and white. So if you only have black and white at home, it's perfectly fine. You just follow the letters. Makes it nice and easy. And here you can see it with the outline. If you want to do the hexagon, it shows up just fine in the black and white as well. Now when you are deciding what size of doily you want to use, I have set it up so that each one has a name, and the name has numbers which represent the original bead size it was created for, which is 4mm, 6mm, or 8mm beads. And then it has a letter, and the letter lets you know what it was originally meant to create when I first did them, which we have small, so this one isn't for 8mm small doily. Coaster, this one is a 6mm coaster size doily. Ornament, so this one is a 4mm ornament size doily. And then we also have pendant, earring, medium, and large. Now with the round doilies, there are 2 ways to create them: the 1 needle stitch and the 2 needle stitch. In this video, I'll be showing you the 1 needle. Now this is one of the small ones which I used to create all those lovely pieces, and we're going to be using the round. So to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and cross off the corners, as those are used for the hexagon. And then I'll take my string. Oh, first we'll open up the beads. Right. Now we'll take the string. And we are going to start right here. For with the 1 needle, you start, the 2 needle you start here, but for the 1 needle you start on the bead inside. So we're going to start here, and we're going to add our start bead. That will be our start bead. And then we want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But just to show you, for the bracelet, here is where you would add your first side of your clasp. So you would add the first, oh, let's see, we're going this direction, sorry. You would add your first 2 beads. So you'd add 1, 2 beads. And then you would add your accessory. Now I got a rather large item for my accessory, because when you are working with seed beads, you add your accessory, and well, it kind of does what it wants. So you want to make sure it doesn't fall off your string, and you just add it on. And then we'll add our next 3, 1, 2, 3. Now when you are using a regular clasp with the larger beads, of course it will stay between these 2 beads. But see, I let it fall off. I wanted to show it to you this way because the small beads are the ones I usually turn into bracelets. So with the small beads, your clasp will hang out and get in the way and so on. Well, actually, clasp won't. This one does because it's too big. And then you want to go through your first bead with your string again in the same direction you went the first time. Then you bring it around and you want to just let your accessory hang out. So then we are now here again. So we're going to add our next circle, and we're going to add a red, yellow, red, green, red. So we want a red, yellow, red, green, and red. Then you want to go through your first bead again in the same direction your string is coming out of, your working string. And there you have your first 2 circles with your accessory hanging out there. Then you'll go through your 2 side beads. Yes. Now, at this point, we want to be on the right side of our piece, so we want to check. And the only thing that's really different is this green. So we want to make sure that this green is over here on the left, which it is, so we are in perfect place. So now we're going to add this circle. So we're going to add on this extra row while we're beading the first, well, technically the second row. So we're going to add on this now. So we want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow beads. And we'll enter this bead, making sure our string is coming out on the same side it originally came out from. And now we want to go through this first bead we added on our extra circle, and we are going to go this direction now. So we're going to add a red, yellow, red, green. And we want the top bead of the row of the circle that's on the same row, and we want to go towards our extra circle with our string. And then we want to be up here at the top, so we're going to go through the 2 side beads. And then our top bead where we want to be at. And we can check our work, turning it the same direction as our pattern. And we see we have our 2 greens over here, our 2 greens, and then we have our extra row over here. So we're all set to begin here, and we're going to add this circle, happens to be all yellow, so we will add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellows. And we will go through our top bead, making sure the string is coming out the same side as it already is coming out of. And now this is our last circle on this row, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down, because this row goes down. So we want to go down to start the next circle. So on our side, we want to go down in the direction where our circles are going to go. So that we'll lay that down to match our pattern, and we will now add a green, red, yellow, red. So we'll add green, red, yellow, and red. And then we want to go through the, see our string is coming out of here, so we want to go in the bead that is on the opposite side of where our string is coming out of, and then we want to go through the bead that our string is coming out of, and we pull that, and we have our first circle on our new row. Now we want to go down the next 2 side beads, Now I know the tape is somewhat in the way, but I find it best not to tie off that string until after you have passed the area you would be tying it off in, because sometimes going through the bead it actually pulls out the other string, which then makes it less secure. So we don't want to do that until we've passed this row we're working on now. So right now we're, to match, we are coming out here, so we're going to add 1, 2, 3 greens to our string. And then we go through the bottom bead of our previous circle and our 2 side beads. Now we go through our next 2, bring it down, next 2 side beads. Right. Oh, and at this point, when you go through this side bead here, you want to make sure that your accessory is on the other side so that it doesn't get caught in your string here. So always make sure, if you have, that's why I wanted to do it too big, because if you use the small seed beads, your accessory will move around. So you want to make sure it's on the opposite side so that your string does not catch it in here. Alright, so now we are coming out this bead, so we're going to add a red, yellow, red. And we want to go through the last, or the bottom bead of our previous circle. And our 2 side beads again. And now, as this is our last circle, we want to work our way around so that we are coming out of this bottom yellow bead, because that is where our next circle connects, is that bottom yellow. So we're going to go through the bottom bead and the first side bead. Now, to make things a little bit easier, we will go ahead and tie off this one here. So we'll take the the tape, slide it right off the string. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back all 3 circles. So we're going to weave back and forth, and then we're going to come back weaving back and forth. So also, whenever working with monofilament line, you want to keep your work tight. So feel free to give a little tug. Doesn't have to be excessively tight, but always give it a little tug to keep it tight. And now once we're back where we started, we want to turn everything away so that we just have our string, and then we clip off the excess, and we'll pull the rest of our work tight again, and we are ready to add the next row. Alright, we are here, so we're going to add this circle. They're all yellows. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellows. Then the string our bead is coming, the bead our string is coming out of, we will go through, making sure it's coming out the same side. And then we will go up our 2 side beads. Right. Now we're ready for the second circle in this row. We're coming this way, so we have red, yellow, red. And we will go to the top bead of our previous circle and our 2 side beads. And now we want to get in position to add this additional circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top bead and this first side bead, and that puts us right here. So we're going to add on this circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to include this one here. So we need to add on 5. One way to know if you're adding on the correct number of beads is a circle always has 6 beads in it. So you can always check to make sure your circle has 6 beads. If it doesn't, then you know somewhere on your pattern you missed something. Okay, so we're going to go through this bead that our string is coming out of from the so that it's coming out the same direction. And there we have our circle. Now, because of the direction I went, I'm now going to need to go all the way around through them again. So if we'd gone a different direction, we would not need to bead through them a second time. But that does happen occasionally. It's no big deal. It just uses a little more string. So sometimes I tried to plan out which direction ahead of time that I want to do with my one needle, but sometimes I end up going the wrong direction, but like I said, it's not a big deal. Okay, so now we want to end up over here in this bead, so we're going to need to go through 1, 2, 3 beads. It is the same direction, and we are coming out here. We have 4 beads. You check 1, 2, 3, 4 beads already on this circle we're working on. So we're just adding 2. We need a yellow and a red. And then we need to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 beads to get us up here. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, now, of course, this one you can go through either this side bead or the top bead. We're going to go through the side bead. Now, here is where you can, you can begin connecting additionals, or you can add your last accessory, depending on what you are doing. So, depending on which direction you choose to go, we're going this direction. You can also go this direction. Either way, it will be 2 beads to the accessory and then 2 more beads either way. But if you're going to continue adding more, from this direction you'll be adding 1 bead, and then you have the shared bead. This top one is a shared bead, and it is shared with this bottom bead down here. Fortunately, with this pattern, they are the same color. Some patterns they may not be, so you'll have to decide which color you want to use at this point. Now, when you are using 2 size beads, the shared bead should be the smaller of the 2 beads. So if I was doing my 08 seed beads, I would add an 08 seed bead, and then I would add the smaller bead for the shared bead for this top bead. If I was going from the small to the large, then I would just finish off with small, and then when I began the next one, it would immediately go to large. So this here is always the smaller of the 2 beads. Okay, so now you add the shared bead, which we'll just use the same size for this piece. And like I said, at this point I've added 2. If it was the finishing, I'd then add my accessory. But as I'm going to show you how to continue, we're not going to add an accessory at this point. Okay, then you would finish off this circle. So you'd go through, there's your string, you want to go through the bead on the opposite side, and then through the bead with your string. And now we want to get back up to our shared. That would be the tip top. How you can tell is here's your accessory and here's the other end, so you want the complete opposite. Also, you just follow your row up, and you know this is the tip-top bead, so you want to be coming out of the tip-top bead, which is your shared bead. Of course, if you're going from larger to smaller beads, it'll be easy to tell because it will be the small bead. Now, you turn this so that it matches your pattern, and what you do is you just now start the pattern over again. But you would skip, or you would not add this bead, and you wouldn't start where you normally start because you're already started here. So what you do is this first one, you would just, depending on which direction your string is coming out, you would either just add the beads this direction or add the beads this direction. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'd go through the top bead of our previous circle, which is the shared bead, and there is the beginning of your new circle. And that is how you would then connect. You would just repeat the pattern, and when you got here, you'd either add your accessory if you were done, or you would determine whether this is to be a small or larger bead depending on what you're using. Always the smaller bead here, and then you just keep repeating the pattern until you get the desired length for a bracelet. Or if you're just doing a pendant or earring, you can decide how many you want, and you just go to the desired length and you create it. I hope you enjoyed making this doily, and I hope to see you in the next video.